Did your car even pop, bro? This is a Mitsubishi Evo 10, an affordable yet incredible performing icon. If you're thinking about buying one, great choice. However, hang on right there. Watch this video to see all the common faults to make sure you get a good car. Let's go. So let's kick off by talking about the different versions that came under the Evo 10 banner. We had this, we had the FQ300, we had the 330, we had the FQ360, we had the FQ400, and we also had the range topping 440. Now, in this buyer's guide, all the advice we're going to give applies to each and every one of those cars. So no matter what you're looking at, this is a worthwhile watch, I promise. So let's kick off with the business end of this car. What tends to go wrong with the engine? Well, first up, fuel pump relays are known to fail. Now the issue is they don't fail altogether. Instead, they start to fail gradually. So the engine starts to run leaner and leaner. Obviously, that then leads to a whole host of other problems as well. Now, Mitsubishi released a revised part for the fuel pump relay, and for £20, it's a no-brainer to have done if it's not done already. Another one to watch out for is timing chains have been known to stretch on these engines as well, unfortunately. Now, obviously, if it's too far gone, it's going to ruin the engine. That's going to be pretty easy to spot. However, if it's just starting to go, the timing chain might become noisy. So have a listen on startup. Now, the best way to prolong the life of the timing chain and have it not stretch is by sticking to those service intervals. So make sure that service book is stamped up. Exhaust manifolds can tend to form cracks as well. Now this was actually a problem that stems from the factory cast, and really there's no way around it unless you maybe go aftermarket, but if it's standard, then that's always going to be a worry. Here's how to spot it. Get your head quite close under here, have a listen for any blowing and obviously any smell of fumes that are coming out and quite obvious under the engine bay, dead giveaway. So obviously, if you've watched any of my other buyer's guides, and there is a lot out there now, one of the things we always mention is have a look under the car when you arrive for any obvious leaks, coolant and oil of course, and also after you've test driven the car, make sure you do it again because savvy sellers will sometimes mop up the mess underneath, try and pull a fast one on you. And obviously this car's no different, we want to have a look for leaks. But there's one in particular I wanted to mention to you, and it's the gearbox oil cooler that sits in this wheel arch here. Now that can be known to corrode and start to leak, so make sure you check under this corner as well. So when it came to the gearboxes, two options. We either had this SST style gearbox or we had the 5-speed manual. Now starting with that 5-speed manual, which this car doesn't have, it was a really good tough box, but one problem in particular that it could suffer from was a shifter fork would let go. That's pretty easy to spot though because all the even gears won't be able to be selected, and I also think its reverse won't be selectable either. Now on the SST, again, good reliable box. However, if you start running more power through it than standard, then the clutch can start to slip. So on that test drive, which we'll get to a little bit later, you want to be sure that even if it is the manual or particularly this SST box, that the clutch is okay. Something else you might see in the for sale ads is uprated diff pins. Now without getting too technical on you, effectively some of these pins could wear and then other pins could find their way into places that they shouldn't be and end up wearing through the casing, which obviously is pretty bad. So if it's got uprated diff pins, that's a real positive for that car. Now this next check we're going to get onto, you definitely want to see it, but before we do, a little favour from you guys. If you're enjoying this video, please do give it a like and also consider subscribing as well. We're dedicated to becoming YouTube's largest and most accurate car buyer's guides channel, so it might be worthwhile for you. Anyway, on to that next check. Now, one of the things that makes an Evo is all the chassis wizardry that's going on behind the scenes. It all starts with the 3 selectable settings that is on the dash. You can either have tarmac, you can have gravel, or you can have snow. Now, we're not going to go into the depths of how this system works in this video, but if that's something you'd like to see in a future video, just let me know in the comments below. Need to make my own camera angles here, it's ridiculous. So what we need to know for this buyer's guide is that sometimes this system can go a bit wrong. There's an active centre diff in yaw control pump, and the problem is on these Evo 10s is it's sat in really quite a vulnerable position. So it catches all the road grime, all the moisture, and these pumps can tend to go wrong. Now how you can spot this is by switching through the different settings on the dash, that tarmac, gravel and snow setting. Make sure they select OK and the display doesn't turn off. Now next up, this is something that we mention with every buyer's guide that we do, and that is just to have a general check of the bodywork condition. Now obviously, these cars are performance orientated, and as such, they're generally driven quite quickly. So we want to make sure that there's no really bad colour matches and that all the panel gaps line up and are as we would expect. Now on top of that, something else you want to consider is these wheels were also known for corroding quite badly as well. So go around, have a good check and watch for any bubbling that's happening just under that powder coated surface. Holy crap. So a bit like the Golf R video we filmed, if you like pops, you'll like this car. Alright, so on to that bit that I'm sure you've been waiting for, getting a drive of the car. Now gladly we've got a driver today so I can just concentrate on talking to you guys, but right away when you get in it, it feels quite raw, quite a firm car. Certainly this one with aftermarket exhaust and such, quite noisy, an exciting car all around. But a couple of things to check, let's not get carried away. So first thing you want to do, behind that wheel, listen out for any knocking suspension. Now the struts are known to need rebuilding on these quite often, particularly the front left. As to why, not too sure. However, that is the way it is. Now beyond that, once the car's up to temperature, we want to watch the back when we're on boost. Make sure it's not overly smoky and particularly not blue smoke that might suggest those turbo seals are on the way out. Now beyond that, we also want to make sure the power delivery is linear and smooth. These cars are not all that unrefined when it comes to the power delivery, so make sure that's not the case on the one you're looking at. Oh shit, it's raining. So something else you can also check on that test drive, now I know it might be hurting for me to say this, but slow down for a moment. Get into those tight manoeuvres. A big car park or parking lot's ideal for this. Do some tight manoeuvres. Make sure there's no unusual noises either coming from that front or rear differential, just to make sure everything is operating the way it should. And there you go, just like that, you've got all the tips you need to go find a perfect Evo 10. Any questions, drop them below, but for now, we're off to have some fun.